Thank you, colleagues. I'd like to just take this opportunity to greet our program director or program directors for the day, to greet the people that are on our program or co-speakers on the program. And I'd like to take a special moment to greet the men amongst us. You are courageous to be amongst such a big number of women. But most importantly, I'd like to take a minute to greet all of you, the Island and ELIDZ women. I am glad that the room is filling up. I did a tally, and I noted that if we were to remove interns from the room, Island and ELIDZ women would barely fill 3 tables. And that worries me a little bit, because it says to me, we no longer want to celebrate ourselves. So I see some of us have started coming in, so I do appreciate that. I've been asked to talk about the Island and ELIDZ footprint. There it is on that map there. I don't need to talk about it, you can see it at the back. But for everyone else who is here who does not know the story, the Island and ELIDZ is an initiative that was started by the community, for the community, to drive a community legacy. And this is part of the story you may not see on the internet, but it is an important part of our existence. And so whatever we do, wherever we go to talk about the Island and ELIDZ, we must know that this was not an initiative started by government. And it goes back as far as 1998. It goes back as far back as 1998, when there was a Section 21 company that was called. It was called Bomedco, and it was set up by local businesses because they saw a depression in the local economy, and they wanted to then investigate what is the tool that could be used by this province to develop the economy. It was triggered by the community. What was the impact? Why did the community even trigger this? Because they did it for the community. And it becomes an important reason why you do what you do every day. If what you do every day does not impact on someone's life, and it does not help to develop the community, and it does not help the vision of the Island and ELIDZ, the reality is that we are then shifting away from our why. When Bomedco formed the Island and ELIDZ, they said, we want to see an area that will create jobs, that will create economic activity, that will change the lives of not only the current communities, but the lives of future generations. And I'm glad then that we've got people that in 1998 were not even alive and are employed here today. Because it means that the ELIDZ that was created for this community, by the community, is starting to yield returns. But I think one of the important things as we carry the story of the Island and ELIDZ forward, even when there were presentations made from 98 to 2002 to try and get government then to designate this area, the whole promise we made was that we were not just doing it for our generation, but we were creating an economic legacy that would outlive us. An economic legacy that would make our children not want to leave this province in order to chase prosperity. And I guess that's work in progress. And it is our reason why every day we exist to transform. We exist to create change. We exist to give hope. I've done that. That's the footprint of the Islanda 90Z. But who is this Islanda 90Z that I'm talking about? Who is the Islanda 90Z? I have the privilege of having been at the Islanda 90Z for 20 years this year. I don't know if it's a privilege or something else, but I count it as a privilege. Because over the 20 years, every time I wake up, and every time there is an Islanda 90Z mission that I'm asked to drive, I do it like I've never, ever done it before. Even today, whatever task I get given, I don't take it for granted. And a long time ago, I decided that for me, this was not a job, but it was a calling. Because if it is a job, you refine yourselves within the prescripts of what is in that scorecard of yours, within the prescripts of what is required of you. But when it is a calling, God gives you the courage to start new things. God gives you the courage to set your own path. And God gives you the courage to do. And if there is anything then that you take from what I say about the Islanda 90Z footprint today, it is that I pray that if it's not today, that for you too one day, it's not just a job, but it becomes a calling. It becomes that one thing that gives you purpose in life. But in these 20 years, the first 10 years, we had to establish what was called a brand of the Islanda 90Z. And it's not just the logo, but it was trying to unpack who is this Islanda 90Z. And from the work that was done, which still exists today, when we talk about who is Islanda 90Z, we say, she is. Who is the Islanda 90Z? She is. When we developed the brand, we said the Islanda 90Z persona, if it was a person, it would be a woman. And it would be an African woman. Because African women don't just focus in their own little space, but they focus on building communities. Islanda 90Z, she is. We said it was a she because women are selfless. They are selfless. Women drive everything from the heart. They have compassion. They care. And so Islanda 90Z, she is. The Islanda 90Z, that's a woman. We said she's a woman that has the courage of Lillian Ngoyi to go where none have ever gone before. And that courage means that there will be times where you will be tested. There will be times when people look at you and they see you amount to nothing. There will be times when many look at you, they see you as a helper and not a driver. There will be times when many look at you, they see you as an aid. They see you as someone who's there to drive their own purpose. And so we said, this Islanda 90Z as a woman must be a woman who has the courage of Lillian Ngoyi. To walk and never look back, even if it means that you're walking alone. And to take everything that you come across on your path, because ultimately you know that the cause that you are advocating for, that you are fighting for, is the cause much bigger than you. And you are like Esther in the Bible, who says, for this is a cause for which I am prepared to die. And so ELIDZ, the woman, is a woman with courage. She's a woman with resilience. The resilience of Winnie Mandela. She's a woman with resilience. You know this woman called ELIDZ? When she built all of this infrastructure here and completed it in 2004, 2005, many had already doomed her faith. They said it will become another white elephant. You will never create the jobs that you said you're going to create. And they said, with the type of people that are driving you, ELIDZ, you will never be a front runner, ITZ. But this woman called the ELIDZ was resilient in pursuit of all that set her heart on fire. For ELIDZ, that woman she is. But her story does not end today. Because ELIDZ is you. It is I. It is us. And so, if we do not represent these characteristics of this African woman who's selfless, who's driven by a purpose much bigger than herself, who's courageous and who's resilient, ELIDZ will not be. She is you, she is us. She is on a mission, and she is patient with her end goal in mind. Stand tall, woman, because you're walking with a giant of a woman that's called the ELIDZ. As I end off, and we talk about the footprints of the ELIDZ, the ELIDZ does not have footprints. The ELIDZ did not take steps. And so when we talk about footprints that have made us, allow me to give homage to the women who've walked this journey. From that very first day this company was set up. Some of them are with us, some of them are no longer with us. But I'm going to give you 3 characteristics of women that have shaped the ELIDZ. 3 women, characteristics of women that have made us who we are. The type of women that you and I should walk out of this room being tomorrow. These women are women who are pioneers. When you are a pioneer, you're a groundbreaker. You're a trailblazer. You start things. You fail when you start. You innovate. And sometimes as a pioneer, you are not the one that gets the praises. And when I celebrate this woman, I remember a woman called Di Step, who was my first boss here at the ELIDZ when I joined on the 1st of April in 2003. My first assignment was to go and negotiate with the community that was residing here, which we needed to move. She didn't take a woman with her. She didn't take a man with her. She didn't have reinforcement. A white woman, determined to be the change she wants to see. And I remember us going into this little container, negotiating with men under candlelight so that the community could agree to move here. And it is then homage that I pay to Di, that 20 years later, we still have a relationship with this community. And for me, it says that those things that those women create created are things that we must hold dear to our heart. And when we talk about communities and we talk about community development, let us not do it just to tick a box. When you are asked to go to a CSI event, go! Because there was a woman pioneer who was Diane Stack, whose legacy will outlive her, and whose footprints you need to follow on. I want to give homage to Mrs. Ntombizina Magibi, the first Chief Financial Officer of the Eastland and ITZ, the first female executive of the Eastland and ITZ. For everything that she was and everything that she was not. As a pioneer, Mrs. Magibi knocked into doors within government and got us the seed funding for the buildings that now surround us, for the infrastructure that is now here. Before she came here, there was no promise from provincial government for funding. And today I celebrate her as a pioneer. I celebrate her strides. I want to give homage to women pioneers in the Eastland and ITZ who started departments from scratch. And the interesting thing is that when I looked at the track record and when I looked at their footprints, most of them did not get the benefit of being called managers in those very departments that they started, because they had grown from inside. We never saw them as being adequate. I want to give homage to Phumla Nongo, who started our procurement department from nothing and drafted each and every policy that we've grown from. I want to give homage to Linda Grichai, who started the records department, not knowing records, but stood tall and grew that department. And so, if there is anything that we can learn from their footprints, it is that as women in the Eastland and ITZ, we don't need to be in places of power to be pioneers of change. We don't need anyone else's approval to pioneer change. Take the commitment now to start something new, to be the one that will be remembered by generations to come. Let that be the footprints that you will leave behind. I forgot to know Velelo Magwetu in quality. When we talk about women pioneers, you know, there's one thing that came to mind. I'm sorry, Vuyo, you asked me not to talk for long, but this is an important story that must be told. When we talk about women pioneers, there's one thing I realized, which we don't do anymore, ladies. We were active in our business community. There used to be something called the BWA. And we would go and vote and nominate Eastland and ITZ women to be considered as women that have made a difference in their fields. I think, Michelle, you were a nominee at some point. My first achievement in the corporate world, my first prize, was as a result of the support I garnered from the women of the Eastland and ITZ with that BWA. Mrs. Magibi went to represent us nationally. Where is that community, ladies? Why are we not active in the business community? Why are we not participating in these structures? Because without us being pioneers here in the Eastland and ITZ, you can see the rest of East London and the Eastern Cape is hungry. They remember the Eastland and ITZ of yesteryears. And we have to live up to that and being the change that we want to see. The next category of women is women that were anchors. We know what an anchor is. An anchor, that thing that is in thick, thrown in the water, so that even when inqanawa iselwandle kodwa izawuzinza ingaziki ingagungqi because there were women as anchors. God knows that in these 20 years there's been moments where this ITZ has been shaken and shaken to the core by external factors. And if it was not for these women that are anchors, maybe we would be a shadow of ourselves. And so when I talk of women as anchors, I want to talk about the silent anchor. That was Mrs. Magwentu within corporate affairs. You know, Mrs. Magwentu, one of the first things that she arrived here and she wanted to do was to actually make sure that our GAs are elevated, they're encouraged to go to school, and they are trained and they are developed. And today we have GAs of Uyobama Batete Kumiwa Ngabo. And that was an important part of being an anchor. I want to pay homage to all Aunt ladies. Abanike ITZ isidima. An anchor because back in the day, besithi noba sasingene endaweni uthiwa singene ekuhlaleni okanye kufuneka kuthandazwe, bekungadingeki umfazi othandaza athandazele le ITZ. But when we talk about anchors, I want to give homage to you, Vuyo. I want to give homage to Nina Bozanele. I want to give homage to all the GAs that are here. You know, when we started, GAs were an outsourced service from Uredanet. But that changed because they made themselves irreplaceable. They showed us the value of having them within the Islanda ITZ as our anchors. Even today, people that walk through our doors, that come into our building, see the peace, see the cleanliness, see the aesthetic of the Islanda ITZ because of you as our anchor. Lastly, I want to give homage to women that have been the heart and soul of the Islanda ITZ. I say the heart and soul because we said women must be caring, women must be compassionate. Women must give life and not take life. Women must harness something and make it come alive. And I give homage to Rose. She's retired now, but we know that until her very last moment, she gave all that she had to the Islanda ITZ. And I'm actually saddened by the fact that we never really got a moment to show her that and say goodbye to her because of COVID. It's not too late. I want to give homage to women like Zinkita. And Nolan Jayana to Zinkita, but when it comes to serving the community, she will be there in those spots. The professional is no longer there. I want to give homage to women like Kate who showed us in Dokubana, you take off your heels for the aprons and you can serve and serve. I want to give homage to women like Onospiwo, who stood in the gap when we lost 2 of our ladies here and showed us that Islanda ITZ has women who are the heart and soul of the organization.
Don't forget yourself.
Lastly, I want to give homage to Abafaza Balifumelo, the seed that will keep giving. Women who have made sure that we don't regret as an organization a decision that we took to convert some of our interns into our own employees. Women who grew from within but never allowed that to limit them. And women who actually went into a male-dominated field and today show immense potential and have helped to shape the Islanda ITZ that we're talking about. I give homage to you, Spogas. Uspogas never ever limited herself from the beginning. I want to give homage to Pamela. I want to give homage to you, Nwabisa. And lastly, I want to give homage to you, Kamaguni. You know, the story of Kamaguni touches me because when we talk about a seed that will bear fruits one day, when she walked in here, she had an HR degree. And she has recreated or re-engineered herself within this organization. But I also want to say to you ladies, one day when I'm not here, I want to see you telling the story. I am done. But what I want to ask you is, what will those that come after us say of us? Are we these women that the Eastland and ELIDZ was created to be? Are we these women that are pioneers? Are we these women that lead with their heart and soul? Are we these women that are anchors of this organization? Go back, go be a pioneer. Let's go back, guys, to celebrating each other and giving each other wings to fly. Let's go back to forming a community, a sisterhood that is anchored on seeing a better version of each and every one of us. Let's go back to having compassion. I told you when someone has a loss in their family or is in a hospital, we don't just send a message, but we stand in the gap. Let's go back to being the woman that will drive the value of this institution. Because without us, there will be no Eastland and ELIDZ footprints. Today, I celebrate you.
Mama,